probably the big thing I was pushing last year. Since then, this past year, a couple of big things came out. I'm the voice of Ken in Street Fighter 4. I'm also the motion capture actor, producer of cinematics, and stunt coordinator, fight choreographer in Resident Evil 5. All right, try to get a mic. Yeah, I know, the next door noise. So I was gonna, later we'll start asking questions and whatnot, and I got some footage to show you guys, but pretty much what I do, I'm a voice actor, action actor, stunt guy, and we can talk about that, I suppose. Once we get a mic, hold on. I'm gonna set up my computer. Based on the comic book, Scott Pilgrim. Anybody knows that? Anybody raise your hands if you know Scott Pilgrim?
No.
Oh my God!
Explain it to us.
We're at a anime con, and nobody knows Scott Pilgrim. Scott Pilgrim is an amazing manga put out by Oni Press. It's I say manga even though it was done by an American Canadian guy. Actually, he's a half Japanese, half Canadian guy, Brian Lee O'Malley. It's an amazing book. If you get your hands on it, you probably won't put it down because it's a good read. I'm sure maybe they'll have it over here at the in the dealer's room. If not, Barnes & Noble, Amazon. Get it. It's a good book. You won't be disappointed. Anyways, Edgar Wright, the guy who shot and directed Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz, is directing the movie adaptation of Scott Pilgrim versus the World. You can just do a Google search, Scott Pilgrim versus the World, and you'll get his blog, and I think I pop up in there somewhere. I only did one action sequence for the film, but way back last year, just before AFO last year, I did a test where I was actually Scott Pilgrim for the film. It was a, there we go. It was an action test. Yeah, I don't have the screen. All right, much better. So, as I was saying, so Scott Pilgrim, I did a test last year where I actually was Scott Pilgrim. It was an action concept test for Universal. We shot it in Toronto. Edgar was there. This was before they had cast Michael Cera as the main role. And it went well. The movie got greenlit, and they flew me back up just for a small scene, which I shot a couple months ago. So check out the blog, Edgar's blog actually, Scott Pilgrim versus the World. Do a Google search, it'll come up. Another semi-small film, actually small large film I've been working on for the past 3 years is Avatar. Not Avatar the Airbender. Bender. James Cameron's Avatar, which is slightly bigger and more impressive, hopefully.
Yes.
No, it is definitely. It's been working on it for the past 3 years. Can't really talk about it even today, unfortunately. Other than that I worked on it and played. I was the lead stunt double in it, as well as playing a couple random characters here and there. But please no questions about Avatar because I'll probably just say other than James Cameron's really cool, I won't really answer your question. At Comic-Con they did a 20-minute screening and in front of a 6,000 plus audience, and it went really well. It was pretty cool. It's in 3D. It'll be out December 18th, and apparently Avatar Day is August 21st. So you can go to the theaters, IMAX. All the IMAXs are having free screenings of the 20-minute show that they did at Comic-Con for free, August 21st. Mark that on your calendar. I'm in pretty much from what I saw at Comic-Con, I was in every scene. Only I'm a blue alien and you can't tell it's me. So if you see a blue alien running around, jumping, flipping, flying, that's probably me. Other work, there's a lot of stuff I can't talk about yet. Maybe next year it'll be out and I can talk about it. But while we're getting this thing set up, why don't we open some questions again? Motion capture related, Resident Evil 5, Street Fighter, and Devil May Cry. Any questions? Hands. Yes, sir.
Okay, we're doing motion capture for Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry 4, and Devil May Cry Animated Series. Did you really will any evolution of the character really affect your performance? Like, did you notice any difference in the character of Dante and how he rolled out the series?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to avoid this light here that's shining in my face. Yes, there was a big transition. As you know, in Devil May Cry 3, Dante it was like a prequel. So Dante was younger. They wanted a different spin on the character, crazier and wild, and he was more of a, based on a teenage character as opposed to, you know, in part 1 and 2 where he is what he is. And for part 4, because it takes place after part 1. Alright, I'm gonna step on the side here. Because it takes place.
Move the thing back and sit on one of the sides.
Alright, I can walk around, I don't mind. Because Devil May Cry 4 takes place after 1, they still wanted to stay true to the new improved 3 as well as 1, so it was kind of a hybrid of the two. He's an older guy, but he still has the wild craziness parts to him. So there was some changes in the character, and they wanted me to do some different things, and you know, I did what I did. I don't know if I mentioned this before, but kind of the model for Dante and Devil May Cry 4 was Roy Fokker in Robotech and Macross. So I watched a lot of Macross and really studied Roy Fokker's character to get it and adapt that for Devil May Cry 4. Any more questions? I think they're still working on the screening part. Yes. Yes and no. I didn't know what I really wanted to do, like most people, until I moved to Japan and I actually started doing stunts in action. Believe it or not, I went to Japan just on a whim, kind of. Like, I loved anime. I was a fanboy, just like everybody else in this room, hopefully. And I loved anime. I loved Japan. I loved anything with samurai swords and martial arts and robots and all kinds of cool stuff like that. So I went to Japan and didn't really think I could do martial arts. I never really had the opportunity until I actually got in Japan, and it was everywhere. So I was like, oh wow, I'm totally taking martial arts. I'm totally doing this. So yeah, I was 19 when I arrived in Japan, started taking martial arts, and my teachers said, hey, you're not so bad at this, you know, keep it up. And I'm like, okay, cool. And I auditioned for a role on a TV show called B-Fighter Kabuto, and landed the role. And my first day of shooting on that show, I got to flip through the air, punch robots, evil robots, and you know, act in Japanese. So that was from that day forward, I knew that this is what I wanted to do, what I'm doing now. And it's evolved over the years, you know, with motion capture technology, video games, and other stuff. But I couldn't ask, you know, to be in any other position than what I'm doing right now. Very happy to be standing up here on the stage, answering questions at AFO. Yes, you in the kitty hat. That's you. Yeah, there's a couple there. There's a bear hat in front of you, but actually, if you put your head down, I could probably see your hat better. Put your head down a little bit so you can see your hat. Oh, it's a bear hat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
What the?
Panda bear. Yes, I worked on Power Rangers. Oh, my desktop. We don't want to see that. Okay, you can just close the lid and we know it works, and I'll come back over there. Yes. Some top secret information on there we probably don't want to see. Thank you. All right. Yes, I worked on the show Power Rangers. B-Fighter was kind of a hybrid of Power Rangers, and before it came to the States, I think it came out here as Beetleborgs, it was called, and I don't know, I never saw the series, but I heard it was horrible. I don't recommend anybody watch it because nobody recommended me to watch it, so there you go. I'm not in the series, so more reasons not to watch it. Having the experience with B-Fighter and the guys who run the show, it's basically the same guys who run Power Rangers. From Japan, I moved back to the States, or actually, I should say I took a trip back to the States. And then right away, the guys in the Power Rangers here were like, hey, you're the guy from B-Fighter, why don't you come hang out with us? So I went to the set, and immediately they were like, hey, jump in a suit, start kicking and doing your thing, because not many guys here can do that, and you speak Japanese, and we can boss you around in Japanese, and
That's awesome.
and we like that. So that was the stunt corner. So that's how I got into Power Rangers. I actually auditioned for what was it? What's going on next door? Oh, the game. So I'm glad I have this mic. Can you guys hear me, by the way? Do we need to turn this up? Or is it okay?
Here, I don't know.
All right. I actually auditioned for Red Ranger in Lost Galaxy, and I was the final. There was 2 of us left, myself and another guy. Saban at the time actually put me through acting school for almost a month. And I went back to Japan. They were like, "You're close. You got this. Go home. Get ready because you're going to be doing Red Ranger for Lost Galaxy." Lost Galaxy? I think so. Yeah. And I was like, "Wow, awesome, cool." I went back to Japan. The day after I arrived in Japan, I was going around on my bike. I used to drive a motorcycle, and got into a major bike accident where I broke my right ankle, compound fracture, shattered it, and many places. And that kind of kept me from doing Red Ranger and Lost Galaxy. So I was bummed out, stuck in the hospital bed, and the producer and the fight action director, Koichi Sakamoto, said, "Hey, dude, don't get depressed. Come to America anyways. Come back to America. There's stuff for you to do. So we'll hook you up." And when I was able to walk again, like 6 months later, I went back to the States. They put me in the suits, so I was actually doing suit acting. But I had a job, and that's when I decided to move back to the States because there was work for me in the States on Power Rangers. And I worked on the show for about 3 years, and then they moved the show to New Zealand. So there went that work. But any other questions? Yes.
How'd you get started into motion capture?
Motion capture, my first experience doing that was in Japan. Doing the role, I got cast as Chris Redfield for the game Code Veronica. And at the time, motion capture was still kind of new. It was called a tethered system, magnetic tethered system or something like that. Basically, we were all attached to wires, like something out of the Matrix. We'd walk around and somebody would have to follow us and carry our wires. And that was early mocap. It was in 97, 8-ish. And motion capture had been around, but I think utilizing it in games, that was still one of the early games that they'd done it. And the guys who did Power Rangers and all these action groups I used to hang out with, they would always get the jobs for motion capture, or they would get casting calls. So actually I heard about it, even though I was doing acting in commercials and TV stuff. I actually got a call from the action agency that called me and said, "Hey, come to the audition." And I was the only, I guess, English speaker on that job. They actually they cast me, they said, one, because I was tall, and it was good, it was easy for the data to transfer because the proportions were better for Chris Redfield. And the other is they wanted me to actually speak in English, and while everybody else spoke in Japanese. So later when they dubbed it into English, at least it would match up better. And which actually ended up being the whole concept of how we formed our company doing all these other games later. But that was my first experience in mocap, and it just kept growing from there. And the action guys who did Power Rangers, Dan Southworth, Johnny Bosch, all these guys, they seem to understand motion capture because they can, I say because of Power Ranger acting. Because when you're acting with Power Rangers, you have to act pretty much with your body, and you have to make gestures and expressions with your body as opposed to your face because you're wearing this mask. Motion capture is similar, especially in the early days, because motion capture didn't have the details in the face, so you'd have to overexpress your body movements, very Power Ranger style, in order to convey, the scene or whatever. And the guys who really understood that were the Power Ranger guys, because you're not acting with your eyes like TV or film, because the computer can't see your eyes. And same with Power Rangers, you're in a mask. Anyways, anything else? And then I'll show you some stuff. Yes. Voice acting for me was different compared, I think, to most voice actors who get into the business. Because I was a motion capture actor, and I did the motion capture for Dante, they kind of threw me in the casting. They were casting for voices, and originally I was not cast to do the voice for Dante. It was kind of up in the air, and we did it in a process. We did motion capture first, and I got the job, and then the voice was kind of next after I'd done the motion capture. And so I auditioned with, a lot of other very talented voice actors at the time, and luckily Capcom liked my voice and thought I was appropriate for the role, and they kept me on to do the voice as well. So since then, I'd kind of been in the voice over stuff after landing that one job, and then kind of going from there. So I think you might want to ask that question to another voice actor, because I'm sure everybody's story is going to be different, but I'm sure they got into the industry probably in a normal way, as opposed to my motion capture experience way. Anything else? Yes. Okay, for Just in Cause, for the anime, at the time there was some issues with SAG, Screen Actors Guild, and like many actors who have pen names, we don't use our real name because we could get in trouble with the Screen Actors Guild, especially if it's a non-union project. That project was done in Texas with ADV, and it was a non-union show, so to keep from getting in trouble at the time, we used I used my, an alternate name. They're like, what's a good name? I have the company Just Cause, and they're like, oh, why don't you just call it just anyways, so that's where that came from. I don't think I'll be using that name much anymore, just because it's a long story, technical story, but we're able to work around the whole using alternate names thing, and don't need to do that so much. So, hence Street Fighter, when they first announced it, I was Just in Cause, and then we got around the SAG issue, and then I became Ruben Langdon when the game came out. So, anyways, Just in Cause, Ruben Langdon, same guy. Anything else? Yes, sir.
What do you think about working with a fellow Power Ranger on that
Which one? Dan Southworth or Johnny Bosch? Johnny Bosch is an awesome cat. He's super talented. I had not worked with him on the original series. I kind of came in after he had left the show. We did train together because he would come, even after his run on Power Rangers, he would come and hang out with the stunt guys and train. And so I'd met him in training. I had called him in for other auditions earlier. Actually, believe it or not, I called Bosch in to audition for Dante way back. So, we knew each other, but yeah, he's a professional. He's very dedicated to his work, and he's a cool cat to hang around with in Tokyo and, goof off. And so, he's a cool dude. Anything else? Yes.
I said one more. Okay, I have to ask this as a Devil May Cry fan. were there any kind of wacky mishaps that happened during the motion capture for 3 or 4 or anything?
There was all kinds of wacky mishaps. It was a quick shoot, compared to something like Avatar, which I've been on, like I said, 3 years. These shoots were like 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks. Just go in and every day, pound out the motion capture. The voiceover jobs were about the same. So it's, combined, you're working a month on the project as a performer. I had many other roles on these projects, so it seems longer, but mishaps. Oh, Dan Southworth, literally broke his finger. Not shooting, not doing anything, he broke his finger trying to show off, as Dan Southworth usually does. So the stunt guys were practicing some, these back gainer tricks, and Dan's like, oh, I can do that, let me show you how it's done. So he's showing one of the stunt guys, and they're doing it, and then they're like, okay, no, you gotta do it like this, and he does it. Somehow he lands and twists his finger, but he plays it off so nobody sees it. But apparently he holds up his hand and looks at his finger, and it's over here. And he's like, oh, that's not good. And he pops it into place. And then I could tell something was up. This is just before we had to do our jackpot line. And I was like, Dan, are you okay? And I could just tell he just sweating. He was like, oh, I'm fine. I'm like, sure, you seem a little off. And even when he was holding the gun, he was like, one finger sticking out. Well, it's all right. He's like, no, okay. And he pulled me aside. He said, don't tell anybody, but this is what happened. My finger pretty much just dislocated it, popped it back into place, and then we shot the jackpot line. We tried to keep a straight face doing that one. And then literally right after that, his whole hand just blew up like a balloon. Luckily after that, he didn't really have to do much. Actually, that was kind of one of the last parts for him for mocap. But yeah, it is Dan goofing off, trying to show off. That's what you get for showing off. Other things, the bars after the shoot were always good fun. I think there was more mishaps and stories in the bars in Tokyo. But I won't go into that detail because somebody will kill me. Yeah.
So when you were doing the motion capture, they had to do the face shots, and you had to wear that harness with the camera in front of your face.
That was for 4, yeah.
Was that really difficult to act?
That was a super pain in the ass. We have these on Avatar as well. The ones in Avatar were more refined, but they call them helmet cams. Basically, it's a camera at the end of your face to capture your facial expressions and movements. The best data is by putting a camera right here. Trying to follow you around with the camera, because if I look this way, there's a camera there. Look here, oh, you can't see me.
Right.
So these cameras were there, and we were always clanging heads. It felt like, you ever see these guys with those braces that stick out?
Yeah.
Now I know what those guys look like. Maybe but amplified 10 times. I was just furious. I was like, I can't perform like this. Get this thing off me. So we ended up, they ended up having to be less than the other guys because they were a little more patient, not as vocal as I was. But we did it. Like kiss scenes, especially, just doesn't work out.
Yeah.
Just
And being able to see their emotions, when you're trying to do a scene with them, is really difficult, I guess.
Well, what we would do, the way we found, at least for me, and I don't know if it was as accurate. It's always more accurate if you're capturing your performance with your body at the same time. Mm-hmm. What we do to get around that and to also cut costs is, and actually I'll show you a video later. We capture the face separately, and this is what we did in Resident Evil. Basically, I did all the body stuff. We had guys like this guy with the camera and these cameras all over the place called reference cameras, and they're capturing a performance to the best of the ability that they can. And then what we do is we edit that in and we give that to the voice actor, whether it's the same person or somebody different, so they can watch it in the booth, in the voice booth. And then we'll marker up their face, and then in the booth they can actually
Align.
they try to match the expressions, and it's actually very difficult to act out something without physically acting it out. You know, act out your facial expressions, like it hurts, you know, that kind of thing. But not without that.
Yeah.
You have to, you know, it's difficult, and you project your voice. So, but with the beauty of that is we can put different faces on different bodies. So, you know, they're doing it on Avatar. They're doing it on our game. We did it with Chris Redfield. You know, it was my body. Chris Redfield and Wesker were two different bodies in the faces. So, in the voice. So it works out. You know, and sometimes you can have it. I think Chris. How many of you guys have played Resident Evil 5? Yeah, cool. Do you think how does Chris Redfield? It seemed pretty cool. Huh? Yeah, it worked out. You know, it was my body, another guy's face, and his voice, and it. If you have a talented person like Roger Craig Smith who did the voice, it tends to work out. Yeah. So and I'll show you some stuff on how that outcome works. Yes, sir. Yes, I have played the game. I haven't played it through though. I haven't had time to go through and play. What's that? Oh, probably the easiest. I still got my ass kicked. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the PC version that's coming out in September because that is in 3D. 3D. I will play it on professional in 3D. But you gotta get the glasses. They're like $150, but that's okay because it's worth it. Yeah, sunshades, and they flicker. They've got some flickering thing. You put the other thing on your monitor. So they were demoing it at Comic-Con, and it was cool. Anybody else? All right, I'm gonna show some stuff. I'm gonna VJ it as I'm going along. This was shot out in the desert at like 120 degrees, and we were in the sun all day. There's Dan. We shot this a couple weeks ago. Let me see some other pictures. This is, oh, that's right. That's this guy. Hold on. No, you're good. Put this on stop for a second. All right, come on. Escape. Yeah. see, I've got some incriminating pictures of Dan. Actually, this is an incriminating picture of me. That expression on his face just didn't right. So for this commercial, I was also the stunt coordinator, making it safe for everybody. And this was a rush job. We had so many shots to get in one day. And basically, I was checking the wire work. While performing in the actual scene, I was actually wearing many hats, as I usually do, and had to make sure these guys were being pulled safe. We were rigging them from this little rig up here. Sorry, I gotta clean up this thing. Some goofy pictures here. I've got Dan, maybe some of you friends of Dan. That's a clear one there. Oh, even better. And that was my expression after I saw that. These are actually screenshots from the commercial, so you can tell it's going to have this cool effect in it. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of it for you, but you can see it on TV. Time Warner cable commercial. There's how it's running. There's some really cool hero shots. This guy's Anthony, by the way. He was our tactical advisor on Resident Evil 5. He is like a super SWAT team, super killer. He's got a trunk full of arms. I think he even has a bazooka. This is probably his real bazooka that he keeps in his trunk. He's an elite super dude, so we always get him on our projects to show us the right way to storm into buildings and shoot zombies and do all kinds of cool badass stuff that we want to do properly. So this is wide shot at Vasquez Rocks. So basically we're running from here to here to here to here to here, back and forth like all day, just running. It was just insane, because that's running again. And Chris J, he was actually in Resident Evil 5 as well. He plays one of the Majini characters. Actually, he plays probably all of the Majini characters. And he's an excellent voice actor, up-and-coming guy. You're going to hear and see him a lot. He can speak fluent Japanese. He has a super talent with languages. We gave him some Swahili dialogue, and he did it perfectly with the pronunciation and everything, even though he doesn't speak Swahili. More of Dan. There's me looking cool. There's me looking cool flying off this rock. And this was difficult because all four of us had to jump off this rock at the same time. We put mats down so you don't see them here, but we were bumping into each other, falling on top of each other. And these are real guns that we have, and they're very heavy. And we're lucky nobody got hurt. More pictures. There's Dan. Dan's hero shot. So that's about it, I think. And then we have this another. Dan. This is Dan's other hero shot. All right. So going back into the reel. So unfortunately, I can't really show you pictures of Scott Pilgrim or Avatar because again they're top secret and we're supposed to keep those secret. So maybe next year after the movies are out, I can show you pictures from that. And I've got some stuff. Come on.
Command F. You just press the apple and then press the F. You, there we go. Or if you want to do it faster.
Get the screen.
You see how it said Command F decided?
Alright, so this is another kind of company reel that we put together to kind of show our services and stuff. So you're getting a good idea. This is just self-promotion for you.
ever-evolving technology and production pipelines becoming more complex, we at Just Cause offer you a one-stop cinematic production studio. Pulling from the extensive experience of staff members based in our Los Angeles and Tokyo offices, we guarantee to serve our clients with convenience, reliability, and efficiency to ensure the highest standard of quality for your production. From the very first steps of production, we strive to set a solid foundation that will guide the quality of work. We begin with a script, where special adjustments must be made and techniques utilized to enhance the story and heighten the quality. From there, we have our professional storyboard artists lay out all the visuals so that everyone involved in the production can view and understand more precisely the director's vision. With our main office located in Los Angeles, we are able to recruit some of the industry's leading talent in the motion capture field. We also have access to the largest community of actors and voiceover talent that will allow us to find the perfect match for each character in the production. To eliminate the time-consuming process of finding the right talent, we provide our clients with an online audition. Utilizing a secure private website, we upload actors' scene readings, resumes, photos, and sound clips so that they can easily be viewed and reviewed from anywhere in the world. Once the production is cast, we begin rehearsals. Scheduling rehearsals in preparation for the motion capture sessions allows us to predict and eradicate any problems that may arise on set, preventing the production from going over time and over budget. Another preventative procedure we utilize is the video storyboard phase. This process involves recording and editing the rehearsed sequences to give a visual representation of how the finished cinematic will look. Through the process of motion capture, we can convey an actor's entire performance through a CG character. Even the smallest of movements and expressions can be transferred, ensuring the most lifelike presence possible. Utilizing a real-time capture system, we can view the actor's performance in a 3D character simultaneously. Having the 3D image and the performance readily available on the set can save hours in post-production and keep the budget within reason. Another service we provide is the use of a virtual camera. While in the past, directors were reliant on animators to keyframe each camera movement, virtual camera puts the director and the cinematographer into the 3D environment, allowing them to capture the coverage the way they intended it to be seen. Adjustments can also be made once the actor's movements have been recorded. The director can move freely and place the camera anywhere in the 3D environment. We also utilize a facial capture system, where each minute facial detail and expression can be captured and transferred onto the face of the CG character. Furthermore, we record the ADR simultaneously to ensure perfect lip sync and the most realistic performance possible.
I'm going with you. Splendid timing. No adjusting.
Once the motion capture process has been completed, the best takes of each shot are selected, labeled, cleaned, and retargeted onto any CG model. We work with the industry's leading animators. Combining the talents of our Los Angeles and Tokyo studios, we provide the best animation possible. No matter the boundaries of location or budget, the primary goal of Just Cause is to unite the team's focused determination and passion to achieve the best possible result. We at Just Cause aspire to help our clients realize their vision, utilizing new, innovative methods and techniques that will raise awareness and, more importantly, sales on a global market.
Alright, so that, sorry for the lengthy video, and it's kind of a company video, but at least it gives you an idea of of what motion capture is, kind of what the business entails, and what I do on a daily basis. So, how many of you guys know who Sammo Hung is? Anybody heard of Sammo Hung? Raise your hands if you know who Sammo Hung is. Actually, well, I can't see the things are nice. Sorry, one more time. Hands up for Sammo Hung. Okay. I got a question for you guys. What do you mostly know him from?
I saw him in Meals on Wheels, or Wheels on Wheels.
All right. Classic.
And then I saw that horror one. I watched that horror one that he did. I forgot what it was called. Something about ghosts.
Mr. Boo or no, or something like that. Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
Kyoshi.
Something like that. Yeah.
All right, well, anybody who knows who Sammo Hung is, I have questions for you guys later. See me in the back right there. Okay? So those guys will raise your hand. I bring up his name, basically he's a mentor of mine. We worked together on a couple films, The Medallion, Martial Law, the TV series, and he's basically Jackie Chan's big brother. He's the guy who whipped Jackie informed him when he was young. Anyways, they're picking up our brothers, and I learned a lot from that guy. So just curious. So now watching these videos, any questions on motion capture, or it doesn't even have to be motion capture related, just anything. Sure.
What are those pink lights?
Those lights are actually the cameras.
Really?
They shoot infrared information out, infrared light. And all those dots you see on us are balls, are reflective balls, they're called. Basically, those lights shoot the infrared data out, it gets reflected back into the camera, and that's what gives you the data. So the advantage of motion capture in games, and started out with games and now in films, is you get a 3D interpretation of the characters, where with cameras it's just 2D. You're only seeing that. So for directors, the reason Spielberg and Cameron and Zemeckis and Peter Jackson, they love this 3D technology, is because they can go in later and put the camera wherever they want. With games, that technology's been around for a while. It is what it is, but now these directors are just discovering that, and they're like, wow, it's cool. We can have more fun. So that's why the movie industry is kind of jumping on the technology and really powering it up. But that's basically what you saw is what it is. We run around in suits, and we can be any character. It just depends on the 3D model is just pasted on to the movements. So as long as we're acting in that character, and it can be anything. I love motion capture because you can, in one day, you can perform and do 5 or 6 different characters, where in real life you have to go through the makeup, you have to go through that whole process, and there's something rewarding about that process. But with motion capture, it's like, okay, now you're a Marine and you're flying through, or you're running through the jungle and you're shooting big monsters. Okay, oh no, we're done with that scene. Now you're a monster and you're getting shot out by these Marines. And okay, oh no, now you're just some random drunk dude walking through through the town square, and he's got to take a leak. Oh, okay, and it's just like boom, 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 and you don't have to switch out costumes or anything. It's really, it just depends on your performance. So it's cool. Captain America.
Alright, so obviously you're a martial artist, but what happens, obviously we've seen in movies where just regular actors are trained to do fight scenes, well, is that possible to also
It is. It's easier to cheat in motion capture because you're not worried about your face being on the screen too much or anything like that. So for films like Avatar, we did train the actors, and they went through some grueling, intense training. But because it's motion capture, you don't have to worry about trying to use the actor as much as possible, because he's not necessarily seen, especially for the action scenes. Usually for film stuff, you shoot all your stuff in the front, close-ups with the actor doing his thing, and then go to wide shot, and it's the stunt double. For motion capture, just shoot the close-ups with the stunt double too. It doesn't matter. We're not going to see his face. We'll just take his face and plaster on stunt guy, which happens to be what happens to me a lot. And it works. It actually helps. It keeps me in work because I'm not just a stunt guy. A lot of stunt guys don't really do a lot of acting. They just do their stunts and that's it. So doing both, I get a lot of work. So it helps. So I'm like a stunt. I would say more of a stunt actor than a stunt double. So, any other questions? Yes. The ring, you mean you saw the ring in the demo reels? When they're spinning? That ring is particularly built for us spinning and doing all kinds of crazy moves. And in real life, you know, those rings have to be markered out. If you've seen the behind the scenes for Matrix 3, it's actually pretty much the same setup. There's actually a better modified version. But motion capture is great because you don't see it. You only see the markers that are on us. So we practice moving and doing flips and those kinds of things. We wouldn't do normal movements with that ring. We would take it off and then do normal movements. That ring is just specifically designed to do those crazy aerial twists and turns and basically give you a light feel. You know, so if you're have to, like we did it for weightlessness, for swimming scenes, for all that stuff, because you can't actually really go dive in a pool and put the cameras in there because those infrared lights don't really work well through water, and that would be an expensive, crazy setup. So we just simulate that we're running through water and everything, and then later the animators put in the water. So we stay dry. It's great. Yes. We got about 5 minutes, a couple more last minute questions.
When you meet with the martial artists that you're about to do a scene with or anything, like you've never worked with them before, how long does it take you to get acclimated to doing things that they're standard to your standard?
It depends how good they are. If they're, I don't know if you guys heard the question, it was like working with other martial arts performers and whatnot. Everybody's different, and everybody has a different style. The guys from kind of my style and the way I work, the guys who are from Japan and Hong Kong and that have that kind of, in China, and that have that kind of film martial art background, usually we can jump in it and it just clicks right away. We're just like, okay, here, everybody understands it. Martial artists who don't have film background and that are just martial artists, it takes a while to get them to play. So it's different. Some people get it right away. I've worked with some martial artists and some dancers and stuff who just right away they get it, but it depends on the person.
Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to say. Anything else? Yes. It depends. We have some really talented, both physical performance and voiceover actors in our, I wouldn't say they're not part of our company, but guys who we call upon a lot. Guys like Dan Southworth, we use him all the time because he's very physical and he understands the voice stuff. Adam Clark. We tend to use the same people a lot because rehearsal time and like she was asking about the fight stuff, you're able just to jump right into it. You don't have to spend a lot of time, teaching somebody, doing things. And when you're on a tight schedule, tight budget, you don't have time to do that. But these days, clients are asking for more variety. So with the physical stuff, and now that we can cheat it, you can just put a different face on somebody. It's easy. So we just did a project where Dan, myself, and 2 other guys, we did all the characters in the game, 4 actors, motion capturing all the characters. But none of us did any of the voices. They ended up casting totally different people for all the voices. But they just used our physical movements. So, last couple minutes, maybe last question. Anybody? Anything? Yes, sir. Right now it's a action foo. I don't know. I started out, doing like probably every martial artist. I started out with some basic martial art. Mine was Aikido. I got into Jeet Kune Do. I did some kickboxing, Savate, which is a French like kickboxing, Kali. Every as a hungry martial artist, you try to get as many different styles and things, and a little bit of those karate, Shotokan karate. I did some of that. Gymnastics. Once you go through that, and I think Dan will say the same thing. Once you go through that regimen training and like all these different arts, you kind of find something that you like and that clicks. And you kind of stick to that. Right now, I just go to the gym and punch on the bag, and then maybe throw a couple flips at the gymnastics floor. If I see somebody tricking out, I'll try to go and get them to teach me something. But for the most part, unless it's for a role, I was on a call last night to Korea. They want me to play some role for this guy who's a fencer. So I'm probably going to start taking some fencing classes. That's kind of how it works. I'm sure if you gave me a sword and asked me to do some choreography, I could throw something together that's going to be pretty convincing right away. But to be, hardcore and to be, precise and believable in that particular martial art, you always want to try to get experience in that martial art, and it always depends on what the character you're portraying is, whether he's a fencer or whether he's a judo guy or a karate guy or whatever. You always try to, once you get to a certain point, you can just kind of jump into those roles and then just brush up on whatever you're doing. All right, I think that's it, guys. We got to call it a wraps. Lots more cool stuff coming up throughout the con. I think tonight, 10:30, is it? As Resident Evil 5, I've got gazillions and hours and tons of behind-the-scenes footage, never before seen stuff anywhere in the world. And anyways, 10:30 probably till 2 a.m. Lots of Resident Evil stuff.